Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There seems to be some confusion at the COVID inquiry this morning. Kate Forbes has been giving her evidence, and she said things that either mean that Nicola Sturgeon's in trouble, or that she's cleared Nicola Sturgeon, or at least partially. She's dropped her in it a bit, but are the messages there? It's all very confusing, and no one, I think, has sort of clarified what the messaging situation is with regards to Kate Forbes. But we will have a look at it because there is something that she said which kind of goes against what Nicola Sturgeon has claimed. And if what she says, Kate Forbes says, is true, then it is deliberate destruction of evidence on a grand scale. Because at the time when she was told to do something, it was after other notices were given. So it's a very confusing state of affairs. But I think it's definitely worth a look. And certainly it doesn't help Nippy in her claims to be angelic and innocent, let's just say. Here goes. So Kate Forbes piles pressure on Nicola Sturgeon as she claims no government policy to delete messages until 2022. So all these people who were deleting them and then saying, oh, it was policy. And Forbes is now saying, no, there was no policy until 2022. And even then, she shouldn't have deleted it because they'd called the inquiry before that. She should have known. But it gets confusing, and we'll have a look at it in a minute when we get down into the story. The former Scottish Government Finance Secretary insisted at the UK COVID inquiry that she only heard about the policy which led Jason Leach, Gregor Smith and John Swinney and former First Ministers to delete messages in January 2022 after all key decisions have been made. So she didn't delete until January 2022. She had everything. And here's where the confusion's about to lie. Did she delete everything prior to 2022? Or because she hadn't heard of it, did she keep everything prior to 2022? Because if she's kept everything and she was in the loop, that's an awful lot of evidence that they were busy deleting that has now come to light because she's kept it. Or, having seen that instruction to delete, has she deleted everything subsequent? She certainly shouldn't have done, since a COVID inquiry was called, and that would now be evidence. They all need to be charged. If this has been the case, and they've deleted afterwards, it's a destruction of evidence. It carries up to a life sentence. It's perversion of justice. It carries up to a life sentence. I would love to see everyone, every single person who's destroyed evidence or perverting the course of justice, prosecuted. Every single one of them. Kate Forbes piled huge pressure on her former boss, Nicola Sturgeon, during her appearance at the UK COVID inquiry today. And after she claimed that advice to delete pandemic WhatsApps was only circulated in January 22, a long time later. This was after all the major decisions had been made, and this sheds doubt on the ex-First Minister's claims that she wiped her correspondence in line with guidance. Not if the guidance wasn't until 2022, rather than doing it on a daily basis prior that she has claimed. The former Finance Secretary also confirmed that she did not retrospectively delete her messages with other cabinet members, special advisors and the private office, but did comply with this policy after January 2022. Now, that line is the confusion. Does she mean that everything prior to January 2022 is still there, and then she only deleted stuff subsequent to January 2022? Because if that's the case, she really does have the Holy Grail. She has that little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow of truth here, doesn't she? Because if she's got all that and everything, and she was in these groups and was getting this stuff, that would be stunning if she's still got it. Senior figures within the government at the time have not produced their correspondence around decision making due to guidance, as they call it. But if that guidance was subsequent to January 2022, then that is a crime. They have deleted evidence. They have destroyed evidence. That undoubtedly is a crime. National Clinical Director Jason Leach, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Gregor Smith, and ex-Deputy First Minister John Swinney have all wiped their devices citing this policy. But Ms Forbes confirmed it was only after almost 2 years after the pandemic started that the policy was brought in, when at that point they realised that jail would be beckoning, so they had to destroy the evidence. Ms Sturgeon stated in May 2020 that there'd be a public inquiry into the handling of the virus, and at that point nothing should be destroyed. They knew there's going to be an inquiry. They need the evidence. Nothing must be destroyed. With the Scottish inquiry officially announced in August 2021. So at August 21, officially nothing must be destroyed. To do anything else was to invite prosecution because you were destroying evidence. At the same time, she promised to hand over all her communications, a promise, of course, that she has broke. Her word is meaningless. She is a liar. Do not destroy notices were issued in August 2022, well after everything had been destroyed. Ms Forbes told the UK COVID inquiry that a junior member of her private office told her it was Scottish Government policy from January 2022 for all messages within the private office to be deleted going forward, and she acquiesced because she believed it was an instruction. First of all, who the hell is a junior member? Name the junior member. Does the junior member tell the minister what to do? Is the minister not in charge? Did the minister just take these people at their word rather than checking, oh, I'm about to delete very important evidence that may be used in a trial? I'll just delete it anyway because some junior on minimum wage told me to. Because if that's the case, it shows that she's ill fit for office. You're not checking on something as important as that. Is it policy or is it just something made up? Is it a miscommunication? Who knows? You check it. You don't just take that as read. And certainly, you never delete anything. One of the things I learned over the years in my job was that information is king. You retain everything. People used to delete emails off their servers and things. They thought that was the end of it. Was it hell? I set the system up and every single email received and sent went in and was archived. Whether they deleted it on their local one or not, I still had the originals. I could go back years. Kept everything. You never know when this shit is important. Especially when later on someone says, well, you know, I told you to do this. I say, no, you didn't. You told me to do that. And he goes, well, and then you can pull up the email from 3 years earlier. And you've got them. That's happened. And then you get the, and then he walks away. It happens. You throw nothing away. And for her to have done this on the word of a junior, the T-boy, who knows? Anyway, she was asked by the inquiry lawyer, Jamie Dawson, if it was her understanding that there was no policy mandating the deletion of messages between her and senior members of the government, and she agreed that this was the case. She said, I did not delete any with cabinet members, special advisors, and with the private office until January 2022, after all the major COVID decisions were taken, at which point I was given the policy, and that it was the first point that I knew there was any policy governing messages. So she said that there was no policy to delete, and yet others are saying, oh, I deleted along with policy. No, they've invented that to try and cover up the fact that they were deleting evidence, perverting the course of justice. Ms Forbes did confirm she deleted hers after she was informed about the policy, but she shared her messages with the inquiry in the spirit of being completely open. Now, that's another line. It's one of those. Did she delete hers after she was informed, meaning any messages that came in after she was informed she deleted, and she retained the earlier ones, or did she delete everything? Again, this is something that needs to be clarified. The former SNP leadership contender also told, and soon to be next leadership leader, actually, one would suspect, told the COVID inquiry that the final agreement or sign off to any pandemic decisions were often delegated to Miss Sturgeon. Sturgeon took control of everything. No one was allowed to do anything that she didn't want. And so they'd have conversations and everyone could express a view. And in the end, you made sure that your view aligned with what Sturgeon wanted, of course. She said that if there was a tight decision to be made, often those decisions would be delegated to the First Minister. She added the bulk of decisions would always be made by Cabinet, but when there were fine points that the Cabinet had come to an agreement on, that final decision would rest with the First Minister. But she insists cabinets did have a key role in making of the decisions. Yeah, basically their key role was, yes, Nicola, that's an excellent idea, Nicola. You are marvellous, Nicola. We'll just go here. Rubber stamp, rubber stamp, rubber stamp, yes men. Let's face it, we know that they're all yes men. Mr Dawson also asked about the fact that meetings of the Scottish Government Resilience Room, or the Gold Command Room, had no minutes. And Miss Forbes said that she was surprised about this, and it was the first time she had heard of them not being minuted. The lawyer said the reason we think is the case that we obviously have asked the Scottish Government for all its papers concerning these matters, and although we have cabinet minutes, we don't have minuted records of either of these groups. It becomes difficult to understand what the ultimate decision-making process was when there's no record of how those decisions were taken. And Miss Forbes responded, I can understand that frustration. Well, we know. It was a little closed room, and it's like, should we do this? We can end up killing thousands of people in the care homes. That'll help us. Yeah, let's do that then. Okay, let's put that message out. Bang, done. Murder. Allegedly. Possibly. Maybe. Gotta cover myself. So there we have it. Confusion reigns, because of course it does. She's learnt a lot, hasn't she? She's learnt how to be a leader. She's learnt how to answer questions without giving answers. But the question that everyone needs to know is, did she delete those emails that happened before January? Or did she delete everything? Or she only deleted the ones after January 2022? Because if she does have the ones and a full set from before January 2022, then she is marvellous. And if she hasn't, she must go to jail. Coming up. Now, I do feel I need to sort of qualify the marvellous thing there. I don't think she's marvellous at all. I mean, I think she's fine. She's sane. She's one of the sanest ones in the SNP. And she's very likely to be the leader for the remaining sort of couple of years that the SNP have got power. Maybe. But if she has saved those pre-January 2022 emails and she's got the full set and they've handed them over, then one hopes that there's enough information in them that difficult questions, shall we say, very difficult questions can be asked of Nicola Sturgeon tomorrow. And it is one of those things that so often gets overlooked, is the importance of the little people as Nicola Sturgeon sees them. Because she, Forbes, wasn't part of that inner clique. She was someone in the job, she had to be there, she was the finance secretary and all, but she wasn't the close little huddle group. But if she's got access to the close little huddle group WhatsApp messages, then that could ultimately destroy Sturgeon. And I do really hope she has. And I think we all do. Anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.